Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered, where did all of this come from? How did the universe begin? And does God exist? These are some of the biggest questions humanity has ever asked, and I'm guessing many of you have thought about them too. Today we're going on a journey to explore these profound ideas, starting with science and then looking at a perspective that has been shared for centuries. So stick around because the answers might be more fascinating than you think. Let's start with what we know, or at least what science tells us. How did we, as humans, come to be? The scientific view is that all life on Earth, from the smallest microbe to the largest whale, and yes, even us, originated from the non-living materials of our planet. Think about it. The very atoms that make up your body were once part of the lifeless soil, water, and air of the early Earth. It's a mind-blowing concept that life emerged from non-life over billions of years. But that just pushes the question back a step further. If we came from the Earth, where did the Earth come from? Our planet, along with the Sun and all the other planets in our solar system, formed from a giant cloud of gas and dust about 4.5 billion years ago. And where did that gas and dust come from? Well, almost every star you see twinkling in the night sky is made of material forged inside even older stars that lived, died, and exploded in massive events called supernovae. We are, as the famous saying goes, made of stardust. So, the Earth came from older stars. But where did those first stars come from? And where did the entire universe itself originate? The prevailing scientific theory for this is the Big Bang. About 13.8 billion years ago, everything we see today, all the energy, all the matter, all of space and time itself, was compressed into an incredibly hot, dense point. Then it expanded, and it's been expanding and cooling ever since, allowing galaxies, stars, and eventually planets and life to form. Now this is where things get really tricky for our everyday logic. If the Big Bang was the beginning of everything, what was there before the Big Bang? It's a natural question to ask, right? Our minds are used to thinking in terms of cause and effect. Something always comes before something else. If you ask what came before the Big Bang, and someone gives you an answer, you can then ask, okay, but what came before that? And what came before that? Does this chain of before go on forever? An infinite series of causes stretching back into an endless past. If it does go on forever, can we truly say there was a beginning? An infinite regression doesn't really provide a starting point. On the other hand, if the chain of causes doesn't go on forever, then there must be a point where it all started. A first cause, a true beginning that had no before. This is a fundamental philosophical problem. For something to be a true beginning, it can't be part of the sequence it starts. It has to be outside of it. Think about it this way. Everything within our universe is bound by certain rules, the most fundamental of which are time and space. We experience reality as a sequence of moments, a past, a present, and a future, and everything exists at a particular location. But if the Big Bang was the start of space and time, then the cause of the Big Bang couldn't have existed within space and time. It would have to be timeless and spaceless. This is where a purely materialistic explanation hits a wall. How can something come from nothing? How can a universe governed by cause and effect not have a first cause? To have a real beginning, something must exist that is not itself caused, something that is eternal and not subject to the limitations of time and space as we know them. This leads us to consider the concept of a creator, a being that exists outside the system it created. This line of reasoning isn't new. Philosophers and thinkers have debated it for thousands of years. In Islam, for instance, this idea is central to the understanding of God, or Allah. The belief is that Allah is the first and the last, with no beginning and no end. You can't ask what was before God, because the very concept of before is a creation of God. It's a dimension that applies to us, within the universe, but not to the Creator who is outside of it. This concept describes a being that isn't physical and isn't located in any particular place. God is not in the sky or on a throne, in a literal physical sense, because that would imply being contained within space. And if something is contained within space, it's also subject to time. Space and time are intrinsically linked. To be the uncaused first cause, the originator of space and time, This being must be completely independent of them. It must be what you might call a higher dimensional being, operating on a level of reality we can't fully comprehend with our three-dimensional minds. So when we ask the ultimate question of origins, we find two parallel paths. Science describes the how with incredible detail, the Big Bang, the formation of stars, the evolution of life. It gives us a beautiful and intricate story of our cosmic history. But when we ask the ultimate why or what came before, science, by its very nature, falls silent at the boundary of time and space. This is where faith and philosophy offer an answer. They propose that the chain of cause and effect we observe must have an ultimate starting point, an uncaused cause, a timeless, spaceless, all-powerful creator. This isn't a God of the gaps argument where we just plug God in wherever science doesn't have an answer yet. Instead, it's a logical conclusion based on the principle that there must be a genuine beginning. So, did the universe have a beginning? Science says yes, the Big Bang. Does this require a beginner? Logic suggests that a true beginning needs a cause that is outside the system itself. This leads to the concept of a timeless, spaceless creator, an idea that is fundamental to faiths like Islam. It's a powerful and coherent explanation for our existence. And if God exists, then why He is not showing Himself to us? The answer is simple in Islam. This world is a test and we have to find the truth ourselves. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of life's biggest questions. I hope it's given you something to think about. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more big ideas, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.